Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy yourself. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to The Tonight Show. You're here. I'm very excited about this. Zendaya and Robert Pattinson are here tonight. Right now, the entire crowd is like, Jimmy, if you say April Fools, we will destroy you. No, it's real. Zendaya and Robert star in a new movie called The Drama. This is where they play a couple whose relationship is threatened when a shocking secret is revealed. Kristi Noem heard and was like, can't be that shocking. Yep, Zendaya stars in The Drama, and later this year she's in Dune Part 3, Spider-Man, Brand New Day, and The Odyssey. And Pedro Pascal was like, game recognized game. All right, here we go. Let's get to some news. Well, guys, this morning, President Trump made history by becoming the first sitting U.S. president to show up for opening arguments at the Supreme Court. Yep, Trump was excited. It's the first time he's been in court without the chance of going to jail. Meanwhile, Trump stormed out 13 minutes into the opposing argument. Yep, the last time Trump walked out of something after 13 minutes, it was the Melania movie. Yep. Trump left the Supreme Court pretty upset, and he got even more mad when he found out there was no Supreme Food Court either. He's like,
why don't I smell Panda Express? What's going on?
Get this, Trump just announced that he's going to renovate the reflecting pool between the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Monument. More and more, it feels like he was the elected president of HGTV, don't you think?
I like an open concept kitchen and...
Well, it's been a rough couple weeks for Trump, and now his approval rating has hit a new low. In response, Trump said, these numbers don't add up for me, but I'm just going to plow ahead. And everyone using TurboTax said, numbers don't add up, but you're just going to plow ahead? Join the club, bud. And Trump said, it's not a pretty picture, but I'm doing what I like. Then Kristi Noem's husband said, not a pretty picture, but you're doing what you like? Join the club, bud. Trump said, I used to be so popular, I can't believe it's come to this. Then everyone on The Masked Singer said, used to be popular, I can't believe it's come to this. Join the club, bud. And Trump said, it's hard to digest, it hurts, and it's taking a toll on my body. Then Marshmallow Peep said, hard to digest, it hurts, and taking a toll on your body, join the club, bud. And Trump said, I'll just lay low and hope no one sees the panic on my face. Then the picture of Prince Andrew being arrested said,
what is going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we are talking about Jimmy Fallon's monologue, and he absolutely crushed it with some of the best political satire I have seen in a while. He covered Trump making history at the Supreme Court, Trump storming out after 13 minutes, Trump wanting to renovate the reflecting pool, and a whole series of silent jokes that were brilliantly executed. Let me break it all down for you. Jimmy started by welcoming the audience and hyping up the guests for the night. Zendaya and Robert Pattinson are here to promote their new movie, The Drama. Jimmy joked that the entire crowd was like, Jimmy, if you say April Fools, we will destroy you. He assured them it was real. Then he made a quick joke about the movie's plot. A couple whose relationship is threatened when a shocking secret is revealed. He said Kristi Noem heard and was like, cannot be that shocking. The audience laughed. Then he listed all of Zendaya's upcoming projects. The Drama, Dune, Part 3, Spider-Man, Brand New Day, The Odyssey. The audience cheered after each one. Jimmy said Pedro Pascal was like, game recognized game. Then Jimmy got into the news. This morning, President Trump made history by becoming the first sitting U.S. president to show up for opening arguments at the Supreme Court. Jimmy said Trump was excited. It was the first time he has been in court without the chance of going to jail. That is a brutal but accurate joke. Then Jimmy dropped the punchline. Trump stormed out 13 minutes into the opposing argument. He said, the last time Trump walked out of something after 13 minutes, it was the Melania movie. The audience gasped and laughed. That is a dark joke about Trump's marriage. Then Jimmy added that Trump left the Supreme Court pretty upset, and he got even more mad when he found out there was no Supreme Food Court either. He did a Trump impression. Why do not I smell Panda Express? What is going on? It was perfect. Then Jimmy moved on to Trump announcing that he is going to renovate the reflecting pool between the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Monument. Jimmy said, more and more, it feels like he was the elected president of HGTV, do not you think? He did another Trump impression. I like an open concept kitchen. The audience laughed. Then Jimmy said it has been a rough couple of weeks for Trump, and his approval rating has hit a new low. In response, Trump said, and then Jimmy stood there silently. The audience laughed. Then Jimmy said, and everyone using TurboTax said. And he stood there silently again. Then he said, then Trump said. Silent. Then Kristi Noem's husband said. Silent. Then everyone on The Masked Singer said. Silent. Then Marshmallow Peeps said. Silent. Then the picture of Prince Andrew being arrested said. Silent. And finally, Trump said. Silent. And every guy in a Hims commercial said. Silent. Then Jimmy said, interesting quotes. The Audi. Ents applauded. It was a brilliant bit. The joke is that all of these things have nothing to say. Trump's approval rating is so low that he has no response. TurboTax has no comment. The Masked Singer contestants cannot speak because they are in costumes. Marshmallow Peeps are candy. Prince Andrew being arrested is a fantasy. And Hims commercials are about erectile dysfunction. The silence was the joke. And it worked perfectly. Then Jimmy switched gears to some lighter news. NASA launched its first crewed mission to the moon in 53 years. Jimmy said the rocket did a quick flyby over Kid Rock's house and then headed for the moon. That is a quick, funny jab at Kid Rock for no reason. Then Jimmy talked about ChatGPT coming to cars with Apple's CarPlay. He showed a fake ad. A guy named Dan is driving and asks ChatGPT how far away Target is. ChatGPT gives a long, rambling, overly analytical answer. That is a great question, Dan. It is both insightful and shows that you care about timing and preparation. Dan just wants the distance. ChatGPT keeps talking. Dan asks for an answer in just 2 words. ChatGPT says, great question. Dan asks for just the distance. ChatGPT says, 150,000 miles. Dan says that is wrong. ChatGPT apologizes and keeps rambling. Dan screams. Then a car horn honks and a crash happens. The ad ends with, Apple CarPlay, now with AI. Drive safe out there. The audience laughed and applauded. It is a perfect parody of how AI assistants are often more annoying than helpful. You just want a simple answer, and they give you a philosophical essay. Then Jimmy talked about Tokyo Disney having an issue with their Rapunzel robot. Some crows started eating her hair. He showed a clip of the Rapunzel animatronic singing Flower, Gleam, and Glow while birds pecked at her. Jimmy said, turns out a Disney princess surrounded by little birds is not as cute in real life. Then he added that park employees eventually captured the crows and sold them as turkey legs. That is a dark, absurd joke about Disney food quality. The audience laughed. Then Jimmy promoted the Super Mario Galaxy movie, which hits theaters today. He said they teamed up with the entire cast to do something fun. He played a song called The Ballad of Super Mario. Jack Black sang as Bowser. The song recapped the plot of the first movie and set up the sequel. Bowser sings about being locked up and shrunk down. Now he is back with Bowser Jr. Mario and Luigi are in outer space. Yoshi is in the crew. It was catchy and funny. Jack Black's energy is always infectious. The audience cheered at the end. What makes this monologue so strong is the variety. You have sharp political jokes about Trump storming out of the Supreme Court and comparing him to an HGTV host. You have a brilliant silent comedy bit where Jimmy just stands there and lets the audience fill in the blanks. You have a tech parody about AI being useless. You have an absurd joke about crows eating Rapunzel's hair and being sold as turkey legs. And you have a fun musical performance from Jack Black. Jimmy Fallon is at his best when he mixes current events with silly observations and physical comedy. The silent jokes were the highlight of the monologue. It takes confidence to stand on stage and say nothing for 30 seconds while the audience laughs at the idea of a joke. The TurboTax joke is that TurboTax has nothing to say because they are a tax company. The Masked Singer joke is that the contestants cannot speak because they are in costumes. The Peeps joke is that they are candy. The Prince Andrew joke is that he has not been arrested. The Hims commercial joke is that the guys in those ads are selling erectile dysfunction medication and have nothing to say. Each silence was funnier than the last because the audience had to think about why there was no sound. It was smart. It was silly. It was perfect. The ChatGPT ad was also great. The actor playing Dan did a fantastic job of showing frustration. The AI voice was perfectly polite and infuriatingly verbose. The crash at the end was a dark punchline. Do not use AI while driving. It might make you crash. Drive safe out there. So here is my question to you in the comments. What was your favorite part of this monologue? The Trump storming out joke? The silent comedy bit? Or the ChatGPT car crash? Let me know. I read every single comment. As always, like, subscribe, hit that bell. We are building something special here. I will see